Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching The Breakfast and Plus TV Africa. Right now, we're discussing 100 days in office, reviewing Okpebholo's renewing hope in Edo. The first 100 days of a new administration serve as a key indicator of a leadership potential for this Edo State governor. His early days in office have been defined by leadership qualities that go beyond policies to create real impact. Today, our guest, the Special Advisor on Media and Publicity to the Governor, will provide insights into how these qualities have shaped the governor's achievements. In this discussion, we would focus on personal motivations and leadership style that have driven the governor's success. Rather than just looking at policies, we'll explore how his personality has influenced the work he has done and the hope he has instilled in Edo State. This conversation will offer a unique angle on the first 100 days by emphasizing the leader's character and vision, showing how these have played a key role in shaping the administration's accomplishments and the renewed optimism felt across the state. This morning, we have our guest, Boogie Okwemo. He's a special advisor on media and publicity to the Edo State governor. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Morning, Ruben. Thank you for having me.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. So as the special advisor on media and publicity, how would you describe the governor's first day in office? First 100 days rather in office.
Fantastic. I mean, it's been a breath of fresh air, considering where we are coming from. You know, I don't intend to spend too much time talking about the past administration, but for purpose of context, I might have to make reference to it from time to time. In the past, we had what I'll describe as a group of people with an elitist intention to commercialize the resources of Edo people for the benefit of a corporate few. These were people who were capitalist-minded, who focused more on profit, you know, enriching corporate elites. Today, we have a governor who's pragmatic, who's grassroots-based, who came from the grassroots, who's more welfare-oriented, who's more about providing practical governance, providing practical solutions, cutting out all of the bureaucracies and all of the, you know, technicalities that slow delivery to the people. Very proactive. He's somebody who's hands-on. He's somebody who's a very strong hard worker. He's somebody he looks for the quickest ways to achieve the results that matter. You know, we had a lot of, the former governor had a nickname. At some point, he was nicknamed the MOU governor. And the reason for that was because people heard a lot of that. Oh, we've signed an MOU, we've signed this, we've signed that, we've done this. And initially, in all fairness, when we heard those things, there was celebration and jubilation, but people waited. After a while, these MOUs were not impacting lives. He wasn't fixing roads. He wasn't providing security. You know, at some point, people realized that this is not what we want to continue with. And that was why Senator Monday Okpebholo was elected, because of his unique personality. He's somebody who has strong ethics in public service, in hard work. He's not given to too much talk compared to the last person that we had. He may not be the most flowery talker. He may not speak with the American accent, you know, but he gets the job done. He approaches governance from a bottom-up approach compared to the last administration that was more of a top-bottom approach where you say, I know what you need. I will give you what you need, you know. This governor would rather go and ask the people, what do you need? And how do we get it done in the quickest way? And those...
The quickest legal way, though.
Yes, of course, the quickest legal way. But you see, when we talk about the quickest legal way, I mean, government is still the creator of the legal ways. So whatever needs to be done, if there needs to be an adjustment of, you know, whatever parameters under which that will be developed, it will be done. But the bottom line is that what is the quickest way to solve the problems? And of course, he's leveraging on homegrown solutions for homegrown problems. Coming from an administration that seemed to think that all solutions needed to be imported. We needed to bring in consultants to fix this. We needed to bring in people from outside. Quickest ways to solve the quickest problems.
Because we find out that sometimes when governors leave the seat, one of their problems that they have with the new administration is that of procurement processes. You know, they got things done in the way that it was not legally. No, that's why I'm talking about it. Even though government creates the style or the system with which things are done, they need to follow it to the letter.
True.
Now, what is the situation of continuity in Edo State right now? You talked about MOUs that were signed. We
Yeah.
would expect that, as they always say, government is a continuum,
Yes.
that this administration will come and look at these MOUs and see how to put action to the words on paper. Is that going on in Edo State, or everything Obaseki is jettisoned?
No, no. Governance is about the good of the people. Once a leader has that consciousness, you put aside sentiment, you put aside partisanships, because your focus is on the people's welfare. Now, it's important to mention, for the benefit of our viewers, that the governor came in with a particular challenge, and that was the incomplete transition process, the transition process between the past government and this government that did not happen successfully for reasons that are out there. The cooperation between the team from the governor-elect side and the team from the outgoing governor couldn't. And I mean, the reasons are out there. Still the same elitist mindset, where the past administration took the position of, this is what you need, we are giving to you. But the team coming in says, no, there's specific information we require for us to take off smoothly. Provide this and this and this, and they refuse to produce that. Still that mindset of, I know what you need, I'm giving to you. Don't forget, just before somebody says, oh, they didn't understand, or this was a team set up on the part of the governor-elect at that time that had some of the brightest minds and most tested administrators. It was a team headed by former deputy governor. It was a team that had a former secretary to the state government, had chief of staffs, had legislators. So there's nothing about government transition that they couldn't understand, that they couldn't have asked for. Now, because that didn't work out, when the government came in, time and resources had to be committed to assessing the situation and knowing what exactly was on ground. Like some of these MOUs you mentioned, what exactly are the terms of these contracts? On what basis were they executed? Which of what and what belongs to the Edo State government? And those reports have been copied out. The Assets Verification Committee that was set up by the state governor submitted the report, and I mean, the revelations it was shocking. Before I started by saying it was a group of people with an elitist mindset to commercialize the resources of Edo State for the benefit of a corporate few. It was because of some of the sordid revelations that have come out of that report. So, having done that assessment.
Sorry, I know Ruma is dying to ask you a lot of questions, but these reports that are coming, are they restricted to the Obaseki administration, or it also involves Oshomole? Because past administration.
We have to focus. We expect that the Oshomole administration handed over transition to Obaseki. So we are expecting Obaseki.
So what are some of these sordid revelations that you found?
Okay, so we found out heavy commercialization of Edo State resources, Edo State assets.
To whose benefit?
A corporate few, let's put it at that. The gentlemen in red jackets will get involved very soon, and I think more details will come out. But from what has been shown so far, a lot of things that were celebrated as achievements of the past government on behalf of Edo people, we are finding out it really wasn't.
Interesting.
And I give an example. So the last government celebrated heavily the construction of a 5-star hotel called the Radisson Blue Hotel. Oh, the Edo State government, and everybody was excited, because part of the argument at then, or part of the justifications for that project was, oh, now we can host international competitions, and the state will benefit from it. The revelation from the Assets Verification Committee shows that, I mean, okay, the Edo State government provided land worth about 2 billion naira, and then went to the market to raise about, I think, 17 billion, if I'm correct, making a total of about 19 billion. That sum constituted 80% of the project cost, which indirectly meant the Edo State government and the Edo State people owned 80% of that business. A few weeks after losing elections, before the new government comes in, somehow, miraculously, the ownership, 80% of the ownership of that project was transferred to a company, a corporate organization. And as it stands today, Edo State owns 20% of that company, while that company owns 80% of that project. So how does the state that provides 80% of the sum of a project now own 20%? And we saw several other things like that. Several things we felt belonged to the Edo people but like I said, I don't want to dwell so much on the past government.
Yeah.
This is about the new sheriff in town.
Yeah. So now that the new sheriff is in town, obviously, 100 days is something to celebrate.
Yes,
being the governor of a state, and like you said, governance is about doing what's right for the people. What are some challenges? Because of course, listening to this right now, finding out this revelation, that poses as a major challenge, not just even to the incoming governor, the governor of the state, but to Edo people at large. So what are some challenges that the administration has faced so far in the first 100 days?
Okay, the challenges will basically, let me start by saying, we have a very humble governor, very soft-spoken, very, left to him, he probably wouldn't have even been celebrating 100 days, but the achievements are just too much to be quiet about, and that's why we're
going to go to the achievements, but let's start with the challenges first.
The challenges still stem from this, a lot of the challenges still have roots in this improper transition from the past government to this government. So one of the challenges was, of course, undoing some of those wrongs that were done. For example, we had a government in the past that focused heavily on using external consultants to run government. Almost the whole of government was being run by consultants. So the key public servants, the civil servants who were supposed to have been driving the administrative structure of government were like taking a back seat. And we had these consultants from outside who were not carrying the civil service along, basically running things. So transiting that control, of course, a lot of, having reviewed the initial processes, some of those contracts were discontinued and some of those. So having to ensure that civil servants are back driving the administrative structure of government was a bit of a challenge, but the governor successfully navigated that. We have a motivated civil service now with civil servants who are excited about career growth. They know that, you can aspire and hope to work and get to, without having to lose that. So that was one, having to sort all of that out. We also inherited some challenges that were not directly related to
Did you inherit any debt?
The financial is obviously debts were inherited, as if there's almost no government that runs without debts. Debts were inherited, but like I said, the Assets Verification Committee also looked in depth at some of these things, and when the scrutiny of that report is concluded, we'll have specific details about what figures these debts are, but there's almost no government that does not inherit some debts.
All right, let's move over to the achievements.
Well, he talked something about consultants, and maybe
external consultants.
Yes, maybe some people watching now might think to bring external consultants is always a bad thing. For instance, in Lagos, it worked when it came to tax. This thing had to be put in the hands of consultants, and their taxes went up, and their revenue went up, and all that. So. Are you saying that the external consultants were bad on their own, or it's because of the local content that was not there that you are almost like condemning what the president's administration did?
If you apply the right drug for the right treatment, there's a problem. If you do the right thing in the wrong way, there is a problem. If you do the right thing with heavy consequences there's a problem. Consultants are not negative. Use of consultants are not negative. But there are several sides to it. Should you engage consultants for a problem that can be home solved? Do you engage consultants for assignments that your civil service can? We have.
And of course, there's a cost to this as well.
I don't even want to go into that. The ICT component of the asset verification reports, that close to 70 billion naira, if not or thereabouts. I'm not sure, between 40 to 70 billion naira or thereabouts. I'm not too certain. Heavy sums were committed to different forms of consultancy arrangements. And if you take it a step further to identify some of the entities behind these consultancies, it just makes it a bit ugly.
So let's go into
so like I said, basically the consultants are not it's not bad in itself, but when you have problems that can be solved locally there's no need bringing consultants from outside. If the problem cannot be solved locally within the context of the structure you have, the civil service, are there consultants in the state who can handle that? And we had situations where basic functions that could have been handled by consultants in the state or by the civil service,
as long as there's value.
So the first and most important thing is, and that's Governor Monday Okpebholo's ideology, homegrown solutions to homegrown problems. When there's a situation on the ground that needs to be fixed, you first look around to ensure. If the need comes to have to bring in an external consultant, whatever agreement you're having with that consultant must include capacity building so that we don't call you the second time After you're done with the first one, you should have trained and empowered the people we have on ground to ensure that we don't need to call you. It's like
how feasible is that? Because how
depends on
many
the contract you sign. It depends on the agreement you have.
Let's go to what Rume asked.
All right,
What are these
so
achievements?
so what are some of the achievements that the Monday Okpebholo's administration have had in the first 100 days?
Like I said, it's much, but the governor is running on what we call the SHINE agenda. Now, the SHINE agenda, SHINE is an acronym for security, healthcare, infrastructural development, natural resources, and agriculture, with food security, food sustainability, and education.
I love that.
Yes.
I was going to quarrel if education was.
I was waiting for it.
You know, our slogan is "In New Edo is rising." You know, so as the New Edo rises,
You're
everywhere is bright,
shining.
everywhere is
Oh,
shining.
I love that's beautiful.
So for security, I mean, so much has been done. Let me start from the first few days of office. I'm very sure you agree that Edo State, particularly Benin, has been in the news for one wrong reason that has to do with cult clashes.
Yes. And I was going to say that because I went to Uniben briefly, and I remember in 2008, there was a lot of cults, a lot of cultism.
Yes.
In fact, almost every week, someone is dying. But of course, there was that whole thing whereby you would be persecuted if you're found to be a part of a cult.
The advantage he has, okay, let me take you from here. So just before swearing in, we had one of those cult clashes and several lives have been lost. You're talking of almost like quite a number in the tens, you know, and immediately the governor came in within a few days using pragmatic, proactive, and engaging strategies, also adopting the carrot and the stick approach. While we're engaging you on one hand, there's a stick waiting on the other hand if you do not comply. That was able to be brought to a stop. And this anti-cultism and kidnapping law was also reviewed with stiffer penalties, you know, for that punishment. And that solved that. And I dare say that we don't really expect to see those kind of things anymore. In terms of equipping and supporting the security agencies, the governor has provided vehicles and operational materials, logistic materials for, and let me say something interesting about that. The governor provided brand new Hilux vehicles, the Hilux brand of vehicles, which are the usual operational vehicles you have. The past administration, in providing for security agencies in terms of support, despite the huge security vote that they collected, provided rickety second-hand Sienna vehicles. If you're familiar with the Sienna brand of vehicle, I'm not a security expert, but with the little I understand about security, I know that for security operatives using the vehicle, they must have easy access and entrance in case of an emergency.
Yes.
Then I think of the Sienna vehicle.
How you open the
You first
door?
have to open it. The guy in front has to first come down before the policeman with his gun at the back struggles out. So till tomorrow, I can't understand the rationale behind that. This governor has provided brand new security vehicles for all the security agencies with other logistic materials, and that has really helped with the improvement. A major ceremony where that will be presented to be done very shortly. He has also reorganized the state security network. What we had before, even though good intentioned, even though well planned, at some point became political. And if we remember in the build up to the election, that outfit was responsible in the death of a police officer that was attached to it. And that led to the IG banning that. The state governor has reorganized that. First things that reorganization handled was mopping up of arms. Over 5,000 arms were mopped up.
Fantastic. So how about the other acronyms?
In infrastructure development,
infrastructure, education.
Let's start with
So you have 2 minutes.
Let's start with the major one, the first flyover in Benin. We don't celebrate because it's the first flyover, but it's critical infrastructure for that particular axis. Where that Ramat Park is located is where the traffic coming from Lagos and Benin diverts to the north and to the east. On one part, you're on Agbo Park going to Asaba or Onitsha. So the heavy traffic at that point has necessitated a flyover in that place to ease congestion and to make commuting time better. Several roads have been flagged off. Several roads are being worked on, across the state, and I could go on and on. Another very key project that has been worked on has been the Benin Auchi Road. That Benin Auchi Road takes you to Abuja, takes you to the north. So it was at a point that road was gone. A journey that you should actually, a journey from Benin to Ekpoma that should take you those days an hour or less was taking as much as 6 hours because the road was dead. True engagement, proactive leadership. Senator Monday Okpebholo was able to engage the BOA group who came in and as part of their social responsibility started working on the road from Auchi to Ekpoma, while the state government started working from Benin to Ekpoma. This was the same situation the former administration found themselves, where they put a huge signboard at the road and say, this is a federal road, please bear with us. But the people who suffer the road are the citizens. Governor Monday Okpebholo has worked on that. In natural resources and agriculture, for the first time, we have the highest amount budgeted for agriculture. Just a few days ago, the governor, his deputy, the chief of staff, and the secretary to the state government went into the bush to meet with the farm settlements to tell them what the plan for agriculture was. Over 70 billion has been budgeted for that, to empower farmers. Education schools are being renovated everywhere. The Ambuzali University was in crisis because of this same thing I talked about, external solutions for local problems. In the last administration, the school ran for a long time without a governing council. A contraption called the Special Intervention Team or something was set up to run the university. That created problems with the unions, that created problems in administration. The governor has considered the governing council, ably headed by a statesman, has increased subvention from 41 million to 500 million. Among so many other
these are some really good achievements.
Yes.
So finally, would you say that the people, don't be sentimental.
Yes.
Would you say that the people of Edo State are really happy with the choice of Monday Okpebholo?
Yes, for the major reason that the past government was a government that was disconnected from them. This time they have an empathetic governor, they have a humble governor, they have a proactive governor, they have a governor who drives his policy through engagement with them first. They have a governor who listens. Like I said, he's not into flowery words and
a little thing. A little thing.
Yeah.
You have said finally. Let me just ask a little thing. With all these lofty achievements and dream for Edo State, we also are wondering what is happening in Edo State now. We know that there's still litigations, and we know that the local government chairman were sacked, and that was something that brought a little problem to Edo State. How are you facing that? How are you ironing that out?
The local government's chairmen were impeached by their councillors. So let's correct that. The government did not sack them.
The governor started giving reasons why they were impeached. It means the reason came from him. The frauds and all that.
The constitution gives the governor some level of oversight over local governments, So when the governor came in, there were heavy allegations of fraud and mismanagement of resources going on in the local government. And as a responsible governor, he wrote to them and said, let me have an idea of what your financial situation is. They didn't cooperate, they didn't respond. He wrote a letter to the House of Assembly explaining what was happening. The House of Assembly, in their wisdom, decided, okay, for proper investigation to be done, these people needed to be suspended from office, and that was done. Of course, while the suspension was still on, some of the councillors who probably wanted to align with this new purposeful government went about and impeached those
So how are you guys
chairmen.
finding out, going on about the litigation and stuff?
Yes, so some went to court, and that matter is still a subject of litigation. So it's not something we'll be able to say too much about. But the governor is ready to work with local government chairmen or local government leaders who are committed, who share his vision of commitment to the people. Governance must be about the people, not an elitist few.
Well, I love that. Governance must be about the people. And I love the fact that, in the first 100 days, there's been quite a number of achievements, even though, you are part of the government, so you would obviously come and rein on the horses and say, yes, we're doing this.
The things I've said are there for verification.
Great. We just hope that, this is what we want to see in Nigeria. So we hope that this continues in Edo State, and not just even in Edo State, other states as well, because what we want is a government that listens to the people, that engages the people, and is for the greater good of all Nigerians.
And respects the rule of law.
Yes, and respect the rule of law, very important. But we want to say thank you, Boogie, for coming.
Thank you very much
a pleasure having you this morning.
Thank you. We look forward to having you in Benin to come and see and have an independent.
We will invite us and we will come.
The outstanding results of practical governance from Governor Monday Okpebholo.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
All right, so in speaking with Boogie Okwemo, is a special advisor on media and publicity to the Edo State governor. And we've just been looking at the fact that, they've spent 100 days in office, and we're talking all the achievements, reviewing Monday Okpebholo's Renewing Hope agenda in Edo State. This is where we have to wrap it up on the show today. Thank you so much for having the breakfast with us. My name is Reme Paulson.
And I am Nyamgul Agaji. Let's rejoin tomorrow, or let's meet again tomorrow for the breakfast.
Have a wonderful day. Good morning.